Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are on what I think is a pretty critical mission, extracting the actual science behind our well-being.
Yeah.
We're going deep into the biological mechanics of happiness, how you can manage those negative emotions, and really how you can optimize your day based on research, not just, guesswork.
All right.
And what our sources are really pointing to is, well, it's a pretty radical premise that the most efficient path to, maximizing your well-being, your productivity, it starts by accepting that psychology isn't just about therapy or feelings. It's fundamentally biology.
It's all biology, exactly. Everything you feel is a result of this hardware we've all evolved with. When we talk about feeling good or bad, what we're really discussing is the output of the limbic system.
And that's ancient.
It's so ancient. It evolved somewhere between 2 and 40 million years ago. It's this incredible threat detector and opportunity finder. But, it hasn't really gotten the software update in a very, very long time.
So we're running on some old code.
We are. And that ancient wiring is why we have to completely shift how we think about negative emotions. We shouldn't be trying to cure grief or sadness.
Right.
They are necessary. They are absolutely normal. Think about it from an ancestral standpoint. If you got cast out of your group of, say, 30 to 50 people.
That was a death sentence.
It was a death sentence. So your brain evolved this massive, massive aversion to loss. The grief you feel today is just your system working perfectly. The job isn't to get rid of it. The job is to learn how to manage it.
Okay, so let's unpack that with frankly, a seriously counterintuitive finding that just blew me away when I was reading this stuff.
Oh yeah, this one's a big one.
Happiness and unhappiness are not opposites. We just assume they're on one long spectrum. But the neuroscience says that's completely wrong.
It's totally wrong.
Right.
You can think of darkness as the absence of light, but you cannot think of unhappiness as just the absence of joy. The neural systems for positive and negative emotions are, well, they're in different parts of the brain. Which the implication is huge. It means you can be a very happy person and a very unhappy person at the exact same time.
That describes a lot of people I know, and this is that idea of high effect, right? Where you feel things really intensely in both directions.
Exactly. And the sources break this down into 4 quadrants, with about a quarter of the population in each. So as you're listening, you can try to figure out where you might fit.
All right, what are they?
First, you've got the mad scientists. These are people with above average positive and above average negative emotions. Think entrepreneurs, artists, podcasters.
Right.
They're driven, they're motivated, but they often have to consciously work on managing their baseline unhappiness or anxiety.
Okay, who's next?
Then you have the cheerleaders. Above average positive, but below average negative. Statistically, these are the happiest people, but
There's always a but.
there is. They're so averse to conflict that they often really struggle with giving tough feedback or managing any kind of negativity.
So a cheerleader might be a terrible boss if you need honest criticism.
Precisely. Next up are the judges. Low positive, low negative. They have this incredible emotional distance. They make fantastic surgeons, airline pilots, nuclear reactor managers.
Jobs where you don't want a lot of emotional fluctuations.
You really don't. Their challenge is the opposite of the mad scientist.
Yeah.
They have to actively work on creating happiness.
And the last one.
Finally, the poets. High negative, low positive. They're the least happy group, but they often have this tremendous capacity for romanticism, for creativity, for a really deep insight into the world.
And this is where the psychology is biology thing becomes so clear, right? The sources talked about the poet's brain, how their unhappiness is actually the fuel.
It's fascinating. So rumination, when you're dwelling on sadness or worrying, that uses a specific part of the brain called the ventral lateral prefrontal cortex, the VLPFC. It's like your brain's cognitive control center.
Okay.
Now, here's the kicker. The exact same part of the brain, the VLPFC, lights up like a Christmas tree when you're falling in love or writing a business plan or composing a symphony.
So it's the same engine.
It's the identical hardware. The poet's challenge isn't that their brain is broken. It's just about pointing that incredibly powerful cognitive control center away from past sadness and toward creating something new.
Wow. And how does knowing this stuff, these types, change how we should think about relationships?
Well, it explains a lot about compatibility. You often see a high-effect person, like a mad scientist, pair really well with a low-effect person, like a judge.
That balance each other out.
They balance each other out. The judge provides stability. But if you put 2 high-effect people together, 2 mad scientists, say, the data suggests you can get a lot of volatility. The emotions just spin up too easily.
Okay, so let's talk about how people with that high negative effect, the mad scientists and the poets, tend to manage that unhappiness, often destructively.
Yeah. And the most, let's say, effective but damaging strategy is often alcohol.
And the sources give a really clear biological reason why it works so well for stress.
It's ruthlessly effective. It literally cuts the communication between the amygdala, your fear and anger center, and your prefrontal cortex, your rational brain. The anxiety signal is still there, but the thinking part of your brain just stops caring. 2 martinis, and poof,
The anxiety feels like it's gone.
it feels gone. And this explains a really alarming statistic from the OECD. It shows that highly successful, educated, high-earning people, your mad scientist types, actually have more alcohol problems than people on the other end of the spectrum.
It's self-medication.
It's socially acceptable self-medication for high-pressure anxiety.
Yeah.
And you generally see 2 types of problem drinkers.
Okay.
You've got your bored drunks and your anxious drunks. If you're a bored drunk, the solution isn't really therapy. It's you need to fill your life with hard, interesting things to crowd out the drinking. But if you're an anxious drunk, you have to deal with the underlying anxiety properly, not just numb it.
And if it's not alcohol, the substitute is often just work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Workaholism. It's the publicly praised, highly addictive substitute.
And it works biologically like a distraction, right? Like,
It's pure distraction. It's like when a 2-year-old is having a total amygdala meltdown. You don't reason with them. You show them a shiny object. You shift their attention. Workaholism is just the adult version of that, keeping the brain so busy that you ignore the background anxiety.
and this often starts with what the sources called the cult of specialness.
Right. This is a pathology where a child learns that love is conditional on performance.
You only get praise when you get good grades. Win the trophy.
Exactly. The lesson you learn is love is something I have to earn through excellence. And that wires your brain to just constantly chase those dopamine hits from winning and admiration. It's a success addiction.
Which is a perfect lead-in to the hedonic treadmill. Woe be to the person whose dreams come true. Why is it that achieving a huge goal so often leads to a crash?
Because your brain is an adaptation machine. You get that promotion, you buy the house, you get a brief dopamine spike. But your brain immediately recalibrates. That new success becomes the new normal, and you're right back on the hunt for the next bigger thing just to feel okay.
The treadmill.
And our ancient brain, our animal impulse, craves what Aquinas identified as 4 worldly things. Our sources call them the 4 idols.
And these are the things we chase that give temporary pleasure, but never lasting happiness.
Never.
So let's list them out for the listener. Number 1, money or resources.
The endless chase for more wealth.
Number 2, power or influence. The need to control people and outcomes. 3 is pleasure. And this is a broad one. It includes comfort, security, even just checking your stock portfolio to get that little hit of feeling safe.
Right, that relief from discomfort.
And finally, number 4, fame or honor. The craving for admiration from other people.
And here's the exercise for you, the listener. It's not about which one you want, because we all want all 4. The question is, which one are you pathological in?
The one where you look at the other 3 and think, yeah, I'm pretty normal about that, but my obsession with fame or power is out of control.
And for many high achievers, the idols of pleasure, in the form of security and fame, are the ones to really keep an eye on.
Why those 2 specifically?
Because your dominant idol is where your future regrets will come from. It's the thing you'll cut corners for, the thing you'll make bad decisions to protect. And it's such a contrast, because while we admire this worldly success, the research is clear. Most people find real, lasting happiness along very ordinary lines.
Family, friends, meaningful work.
Exactly.
So that brings us to anxiety, which is often tied to that idol of security. We have to make a distinction here between risk and uncertainty.
This is so critical for modern life. Risk is a problem you can put a number on. There's a 10% chance this will fail. You can manage that. You can buy insurance.
Right.
Uncertainty is the great unknown. You can't assign a probability. You don't know if the world will change tomorrow. And that is what sets off the amygdala.
And that explains why we're all so anxious now. Our ancestors had threats, but they were, a lion or a famine. They were intense but temporary.
Exactly. The fight or flight system turned on, and then it turned off. Today, with the news, the markets, everything, our limbic system is just chronically on. It's this little drip of cortisol all day, every day. Grandpa didn't have panic attacks behind his plow.
His threats were concrete. Ours are abstract and endless.
Right, which leads to this dysregulated stress.
So if suffering is just part of the deal, and the sources give us that Buddhist math, suffering equals pain multiplied by resistance,
Hmm.
the goal is to lower the resistance. But how do we do that with the hardest pains, like loss and rejection?
Grief and heartbreak are so hard because they are different from physical pain.
Mm.
Physical pain has two parts: the sensory part, the actual feeling, and the affective part, the I hate this emotional part.
Okay.
Mental pain, like heartbreak, is only the affective part. It's pure emotional aversion with nothing to ground it.
And this brings us to that incredible insight about Tylenol or paracetamol.
Right. So Tylenol works on the affective component of pain.
Mhm.
Basically, it just makes you care less.
Wait, are you serious?
The studies show that a course of Tylenol can reduce the emotional pain of social rejection by about a third. Now, it's not a long-term solution, but knowing that we can modulate the caring part of pain is huge.
And that knowledge is power, especially when you're going through something like a breakup.
It is. The intense pain of a breakup is biological.
Yeah.
It's your limbic system screaming you will die alone to try and stop you from ever leaving the tribe. Once you know that the feeling is just temporary, evolved hardware, you can manage it.
So what's the protocol? How do you manage it?
The sources suggest a three-part strategy. First, distraction. Go have real low-stress fun with people you love. Crowd out the negative thoughts.
Okay, that makes sense.
Second, and this is the most important part, metacognitive focus. Your brain will want to remember the good times. You have to consciously force it to focus on the reasons you broke up, what you are not missing. You're aligning your rational brain with your emotional system.
Got it. And the third one is a bit surprising.
It is. It's aesthetics. Listen to sad music.
Why would you do that?
Because it stimulates the right hemisphere of the brain, the part that processes meaning and beauty. Sad music helps you process confusing emotions in a safe, aesthetic way. It turns the raw pain into something you can understand.
Okay, let's pull all this incredible knowledge together into a blueprint. If psychology is biology, then we need to optimize our daily inputs. Let's start with the morning. What's the 5-point protocol?
All right. Step 1, up before dawn. That quiet hour before sunrise, the Brahma Muhurta. It wakes up the right hemisphere, improves creativity, concentration. And here's the key thing. Chronotype is 60% environmental. You can train yourself to be a morning person.
That's hope for the night owls. Okay, what's step 2?
Substantial physical activity. For our mad scientists and poets, exercise is probably the single best tool for reducing unhappiness. The sources suggest a mix of 75% resistance training and 25% zone 2 cardio.
And zone 2 is just that level where you can talk, but only in short sentences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's important to note, people with low negative affect, your cheerleaders and judges, they often don't stick with the gym because it just hurts. For high affect people, the psychological relief is worth the physical pain.
What's step 3?
Transcendence. This could be religious practice or meditation like Vipassana. The goal is to get your soul in line with your body, to make the universe feel bigger than your immediate anxieties.
Okay. Now for caffeine. Most of us grab it first thing.
And that's the mistake.
Yeah.
Step 4 is delayed caffeine. Push it back 2 to 3 hours after you wake up. You don't use it to wake up. You use it for sustained focus, right when your natural cortisol starts to dip.
Smart. And number 5, the protein bolus. The claim here is huge, that this can give you focus like ADHD medication. How does that work?
Step 5, the protein bolus. Right after that delayed caffeine, you have 60 to 70 grams of high-quality protein. Whey protein with Greek yogurt is perfect because it's high in tryptophan. This flood of amino acids provides the raw materials for your brain to create and sustain dopamine, giving you about 4 hours of intense, even focus. It doubles your creative window.
An incredibly powerful morning routine. Now what about the evening? How do we down-regulate for mood and sleep?
The evening is all about calming the system. First, early dinner. Last meal 2 to 3 hours before bed. And it shouldn't be your heaviest meal.
Okay.
Second, the avoidances. No caffeine in the afternoon. No alcohol, because it just wrecks your sleep architecture. And be really careful with sweets. For former problem drinkers, your body can metabolize sugar in a similar way, and it can disturb your sleep.
That's next.
Third, a post-dinner walk, 30 to 40 minutes. It's amazing for your insulin response and really helps set you up for good sleep.
And number 4 is about connection.
Yes. Connection and oxytocin. 5 to 10 minutes in bed with your partner, just deep eye contact and touch, non-sexual. Women respond more to the eye contact for oxytocin, men more to touch. It's crucial for regulation.
And finally,
Reading to your partner or being read to, it has an almost narcotics-like effect for relaxation. It's a healthy way to wind down the brain.
We have covered so much ground. Psychology is biology, the four affect types, the idol's game, managing uncertainty, and now this powerful daily protocol. What's the final provocative thought you want to leave the listener with?
I think the most important distinction you can make in your life is between complicated problems and complex problems.
Okay, what's the difference?
A complicated problem is solvable. Building a jet engine is complicated. With enough information and brain power, you can find the answer.
Right.
A complex problem, however, is impossible to solve. You can only live it. Your marriage is a complex problem. Raising your children is a complex problem. Forging a meaningful life is a complex problem.
So you can't just engineer a solution.
You can't. And the fundamental mistake we all make is trying to treat the most precious, complex parts of our lives as if they were just complicated problems. It leads to obsession, control, and ultimately failure. The realization is that the parts of life you truly care about don't need to be solved. They need to be understood, lived, and adapted to.
That is a powerful framework. So for everyone listening, analyze your current challenges. Are you trying to solve something that can only be lived? And what does that realization mean for your path forward? Thank you for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.